And I couldn't find a stronger motive. Why are we suffering? Why are we dying? And who's doing this to us? Of course, the narrative on the Palestinian street that this is Israel, this is the Jewish people killing us. And as a child, I did not have the power to discern, to see a higher truth. How could I? It's the same thing with the children now in Gaza. They suffer the consequences of war, but they don't realize or understand how the war originated. So in that situation, I had the trauma of the first Palestinian Intifada, and all the memories stay with me. This is what empowers me to carry on.
And that was when about, that would be
1987.
87, okay.
1987 to 1992, 1990.
What's the definition of Intifada?
Chaos. People call it uprising, but the very definition, not only of Intifada, of Palestine, very similar definitions. It's chaos, it's disorder, it's anti-establishment.
How does it arise?
Or simply Yasser Arafat sitting in Tunisia. This is supposed to be the father of the Palestinian revolution.
The same Yasser Arafat who died with like $4 billion, that
A lot
Yasser
more.
Arafat?
A lot more. Yasser Arafat was an Egyptian con artist. He was born in Egypt with an Egyptian accent. It was so obvious to know that he's Egyptian, but everybody was in denial that he's Palestinian, and he's the father of the Palestinian revolution. After they were kicked out of Jordan, of Lebanon, and they ended up in Tunisia, some 2,000 miles away, they came up with the idea to engineer the Intifada. They wanted trouble, but from within. They knew that this could be a lot more effective than trying to destroy Israel from outside. And they sent children to die. This has been their mechanism, their strategy.
And who's they?
When I say they, all those who are complicit in this continuous crime, all those who sacrifice children for power and for money. It's a fundamental part of that culture. We have to understand this. First was the ideological dimension that I told you about. Then sacrificing children is not something that make them feel guilty. It's acceptable in that culture. So now, as a student, masked men used to come, and we were just 5th and 6th grade. We were very young. And they would force all students to evacuate the school. They paralyzed the educational system. They paralyzed economy, transportation, and they wanted complete chaos. And until today, I ask myself, if you were fighting against Israel, why would you stop the education and the economy and all other aspects of the Arab life in the West Bank? This is what Intifada means. So instead of going to school, we stayed at home for the first 2 or 3 years of the first Palestinian Intifada. We did not go to school. Now, instead, many of the children got engaged in stone throwing, and this became our game. I was part of that game. And many of my friends got shot in the process, throwing stones at the IDF or what we used to call them settlers, just clashing. Of course, many civilians got hurt in the process. So they did not want us to go to schools, and I did not understand why. What about the economy? What about the people who were forced to shut down their stores? And if they did not obey, they became traitors. And in the morning, they came back to their stores, and they were burnt down to ashes. So by the means of intimidation, Yasser Arafat sitting in luxury, like Haniya today sitting in luxury in Qatar. And what's in common between all these con artists? That they were outsiders, living outside, while they wanted the children to die on their behalf. Because what really globalized the Intifada or the Palestinian cause is the children. During the first Palestinian Intifada, when the world saw a child in the face of a modern army, and that was outrageous, and everybody sympathized with the cause.
So how did the leaders of the Intifada benefit personally from putting children on the front line? What's the money pipeline precisely? I mean, Arafat ended up with an absolute bloody fortune, like an insane fortune, and I know the same thing is happening, but how exactly is that monetized? Is the suffering of children produces an influx of foreign aid that's then pocketed essentially?
Yes, because on one hand, they delegitimize Israel. Israel become a child killer.
Right.
Then there is no one in the world that does not sympathize with children dying.
Right.
So there is no more destructive or powerful weapon in the hands of a corrupt revolution that don't want to fight. They didn't have the courage to actually fight in combat, but they prefer that their children would die on their behalf. In the meantime, delegitimize Israel and globalize their cause. The international community don't know the reality 100% on the ground. They don't understand this game. Even up to now, they see Hamas using children as human shields, which is very obvious. This is what Hamas wanted from this war. The international community is still in denial. So when children die, this will lead to more chaos. It would lead to war. It would lead to, today, a global chaos. But how do you deflate the tension? You deflate the tension by going to the middleman, pay him off, and he's going to stop the madness. And this is how they paid off Yasser Arafat, paid off Hamas. This is the Gaza war today. This is not the first one. This is the fifth one. And every time Hamas started the war, they used human shields. Children died. Hamas exaggerated the numbers, the statistics. They weren't accurate. The international community bent over and submitted to a ceasefire.